Arc Raiders wasn't even on my radar a few weeks ago, and now I've sunk 30 hours into it, and honestly, it's blown me away. So let's dive into everything I've learned. After a few hours in Arc Raiders, I started to get the hang of the mechanics. But by the time I hit around 20 hours, everything felt automatic. It's really satisfying to go from not knowing what anything does, to instantly understanding what you need for your next raid. The learning curve feels natural and intuitive. One of the standout mechanics in Arc Raiders is the movement system. It feels grounded and weighty, but still gives you a lot of freedom. You can slide down slopes, roll out of falls, vault over obstacles, and climb up to reach higher ground. Plus, you can use a hookshot or set up static ziplines to help you cross gaps or reach hard to get to places. These little touches add a ton of flow and momentum to how you move, without ever making it feel like movement is the focus of PvP. The animations really sell it. They're not just functional, they're polished and immersive. When you run out of stamina, your character doesn't just slow down, they stumble. And you roll a lot slower, kinda like a fat roll in a Souls-like game. Starting a sprint has a nice little push-off motion too, which makes it all feel smoother and more grounded. Early on I was sprinting everywhere, until I realized stamina management actually matters. The bar drains fast, and burning through it leaves you slow and vulnerable. But here's the trick. If you switch to unarmed, you can sprint way faster and for longer. That one mechanic alone changed how I played. It became a whole system I could master, instead of just a limitation I had to live with. That system only gets deeper with the skill tree. You can spec into things like lower stamina consumption, faster recovery, or even things like no stamina consumption after dodge rolls. Combine that with the adrenaline injector that gives you a stamina boost, and suddenly, movement becomes a huge part of your strategy mid-raid. It's one of the most satisfying systems in the game. You also start noticing how much environmental interaction plays into movement. Climbing, crouching, and using cover actually matter. It's not just a shoot and run game. You're constantly reading your surroundings, figuring out how to get an edge. Movement isn't just for dodging, it's for outsmarting the world around you. There's a bit of friction when you're the one trying to push fights, especially with the third-person camera, but I'll get into that more in the combat section. Speaking of combat, let's talk about that now. Let's start with PvE. One of the best things about Arc Raiders is how tense it feels. The AI is aggressive and the encounters are unpredictable. It makes the world feel alive and dangerous. You never really feel like you belong out there, which adds a constant sense of threat. At first, the AI felt a bit overtuned. Even basic enemies like drones or those firebots could force me to run for my life. But after a while, I realized the problem wasn't just the AI, it was my loadout. Light ammo felt like shooting Nerf darts against arc enemies, but medium or heavy ammo? You start ripping off armor and staggering drones. Bring the right gear, and those fights flip from frustrating to genuinely fun. The drones are terrifying. They're often hard to avoid. They hover just out of reach of melee, so you have to make noise to get rid of them, and when they see you, they don't hold back. Some of the bigger arc machines, like the Bastion and the Bison, are straight up nightmare fuel. They're genuinely relentless when they've locked onto you. It always feels like a mini apocalypse. And if you're in the middle of a PvP fight when one shows up, it's pure chaos. Then there's the Queen, easily the biggest and most terrifying enemy in the game so far. She launches mortars, fires a laser that sets you on fire, and has a massive shockwave attack that strips away your shield if you get too close. Oh, and she'll straight up just stomp on you if you're under her. It's wild. What really impressed me though, is how the physics and the behavior of the machines sell the immersion. With drones, you can shoot out their blades and watch them spiral out of control, trying to stabilize before firing again. Even the Queen reacts this way. You can blast off her massive legs and she'll start adjusting, trying to keep moving despite the damage. It's beyond impressive. The devs teased a while ago that they were using machine learning to teach these machines how to walk, instead of relying on traditional animations. And seeing that actually implemented now, it's truly something special. Enemy variety is already pretty solid for this stage of development. I haven't fought all the big machines yet, but I did take on the Queen during the tech test. I went in with 5 different guns and a ridiculous amount of healing, and I still couldn't take her down solo. You need a team for that fight, and honestly I love that. It turns into this big chaotic group effort that's just a ton of fun. It reminds me a lot of Helldivers, but somehow I'm still in a PvP extraction shooter. It's kinda crazy. PvP in Arc Raiders is a whole different beast. The second another player shows up, nothing else matters. It's tense, unpredictable, and honestly sometimes terrifying. I'm playing from Australia with no local servers yet, so my ping has been rough. That said, it makes me even more hyped for the full release when we get servers. One thing I've noticed is that third partying is super common. You think you've won a fight, and then someone jumps in and ruins your day. It adds a layer of chaos that keeps thirds exciting, but it also means that no fight is ever safe, even if you're winning. On the first day, I barely ran into any other players, probably because not many had access yet. But later on into the test, it felt like every raid had at least one PvP encounter. Gunshots echoing in the distance constantly remind you someone else is out there. The third-person camera is probably going to be the most divisive design choice. Personally though, I'm loving it. It makes the game feel unique. But yeah, it does enable some cheesy stuff, like pre-aiming corners without exposing yourself. And it makes defending a position easier than pushing one, and you'll definitely run into players who use that to their advantage. But honestly, you can do it too, and that's part of the meta. I'm glad they went with third person. There's plenty of first person shooters out there. I'm loving the fresh feeling. As for the weapons, I've been leaning towards pistols. They all feel great. The Beretta, Anvil, Venator, not you. What I love about pistols is how fast you can go from sprinting unarmed to pulling one out. It feels instant compared to some other guns. It's super helpful when you get caught off guard. The gunplay is also top tier. Guns feel punchy, have great audio feedback, and every weapon feels distinct. I personally love the Anvil. It has serious weight to it and works great at close and medium range distances. Plus it chews through arc enemies thanks to its heavy ammo. Weapons really shape your playstyle. SMGs dominate at close range, but fall apart at distance due to recoil and bloom. Rifles like the Arpeggio are more versatile, perfect for those medium range engagements. Then you have the heavy weapons like the Ferro for long distances, and they're great for dealing with arc units. Pair that with shield options, light, medium, heavy, and you get a real flexibility in how you approach each raid. Personally, if you can, I recommend running at least a medium shield. It only slows you down a little bit, but gives you a huge bump in survivability. It has 80 shield capacity and 45% damage mitigation, versus a light shield's 50 capacity and 23% damage mitigation. It's worth the trade-off if you have the necessary crafting materials or money. Now, speaking of crafting, let's talk about upgrades and progression. Arc Raiders does a great job of onboarding you, and everything feels pretty intuitive once you get going. Whether it's crafting, upgrading gear, or just figuring out what loot is worth holding back, it all clicks surprisingly quickly. What I really like is how the game always gives you something to chase. Every raid feels like it matters. You either die or you make progress in some way. Sometimes it's big, like unlocking a new piece of gear or crafting recipe. Sometimes it's just restocking essentials, or grabbing more of those metal parts the game never stops asking for. But either way, it never feels like a wasted run. Finding the rarer materials needed for a hideout upgrade is genuinely satisfying. It definitely gives you that "oh shit, I need to extract right now" feeling, which in an extraction shooter you definitely need. One critique I do have though is around crafting materials and inventory management. Early on I thought I had it all figured out. Just recycle or sell anything marked as recyclable. But of course, a lot of those items are actually essential for crafting or upgrades. It's a bit frustrating and definitely unintuitive. Even now I'm still unsure what I should be keeping versus scrapping. I'm by no means asking the game to spell everything out. Just a simple indicator of whether something is safe to get rid of or not would go a long way. I've played a lot of Tarkov, where the game tells you nothing, and that's kind of the point. It's meant to be hardcore and punishing. But with Arc Raiders, I'm here for the more casual, approachable version of that formula, which it absolutely nails in so many other areas. So I'd love to see that clarity extended to the inventory system too. It's a small thing, but it's enough to trip you up when you're trying to focus on progressing. Aside from that, I actually love the looting and the variety of items you can come across. Everything you find looks cool and fits the world. On top of that, nearly everything you do feeds into XP. Killing enemies, looting, completing quests, this steady drip becomes oddly addictive, especially as you level up and earn skill points to dump into the skill tree. The tree itself is pretty straightforward, but there's something super satisfying about seeing it fill up. It's like a slow reward for all the little things you're doing. The upgrades range from simple quality of life boosts like stamina or faster climbing and vaulting, to more impactful ones like passive health regen when you're critically injured, or the ability to breach locked security crates. It adds just enough long-term depth to keep the grind feeling worth it. I'm still early into these progression systems, so I can't speak to how things will evolve in the late game just yet. But from what I have seen, it's a lot of fun. The mix of loot, upgrades, and steady XP gains keeps you feeling like you're always moving forward, even if you die in raid. That constant sense of progression is what makes the grind feel rewarding, and I'm excited to see where it takes me as I keep playing. And as I push forward, one thing that really stands out is how incredible the world design is. mentioned this in my last video, but watch it. I'll get you. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. I'll find you. Sorry. Don't know what came over me. Anyway, like I was saying, I mentioned it before, but I still can't get over how breathtaking the atmosphere and maps are. It's not just about how they're laid out. Compositionally, they're fantastic, but visually too? The fidelity, the lighting, and the distinctiveness of each area all come together to make each raid feel cinematic. The world feels real and lived in. The verticality is especially cool. As someone who spent way too many hours in Battlefield 4, you can really feel the DICE DNA in this. There's a strong sense of scale and layered traversal. From the massive tower in Spaceport, to the seemingly endless levels of the buried city. It's all incredibly impressive. And for how large and detailed these maps are, I honestly can't believe how well the game runs. And then there's the raid timer. In the final 5 minutes, orbital strikes start nuking the map. The tension ramps up fast. And watching that final nuke erase everything right as the timer hits 0 is just so fucking cool. A real Oppenheimer moment. The dynamic weather system adds a ton of character to the maps. One raid you're pushing through a blinding sandstorm in Buried City, the next you're caught in a lightning storm in Spaceport, and then you're sludging through the swamps while embers burn through the air and the mountains in the distance are ablaze. It's little shifts like this that make the world feel genuinely alive and real. It's also awesome how this game mixes in unique PvE events, like the recent Queen Harvester encounter. The puzzle-like mechanics keep you on your toes. You could die at any moment if you don't know what you're doing, but it unlocks access to some great loot. And then it's all guarded by a massive spider-like arc machine, the Queen, adding a whole new level of tension. Tried fighting her solo once, wouldn't recommend it. Even the smaller, more common map events, like lush blooms, where favourable weather conditions make it easier to find fruits and plants. It helps the world feel dynamic and reactive in a way that rewards paying attention. The maps themselves feel great to traverse. There's always something to stop and loot and admire between points of interest. I honestly can't praise it enough. Arc Raider's world just feels incredible to exist in. The last session I played was easily the most fun I've had in an extraction shooter. I was making progress, getting solid loot, and landing some kills I was actually proud of. It felt great. But even during that session, one thing kept nagging at me: the third partying in solos. It's brutal. I'd say about 90% of my fights got interrupted by someone else. Doesn't matter how well you're playing, there's always someone lurking nearby, ready to swoop in. And since dying already sucks in an extraction shooter, getting taken out while you're weak after a fight just makes it that much worse. But here's what I realized: this problem basically disappears when I played in a squad. Same map, same player count, completely different vibe. And I think I know why. In solo mode, all 18 players are individual threats, constantly clashing across the map. Even though the map's big, 18 players just creates too much overlap and chaos. But in squads, those 18 players are split up into about 6 teams. That means fewer active firefights at once, more breathing room between encounters, and way more chance for good plays to actually pay off. The pacing in squads just feels better. You're not constantly running into someone. There's downtime to loot, reposition, and plan without worrying that a cracked solo player is waiting around every corner. And when you do run into another team, it's almost always a proper fight. Fair, intense, and where coordination actually matters. It's the kind of combat that makes this genre so fun. I'm also starting to settle into a playstyle that actually works for me. Early on, I was kinda all over the place, switching weapons constantly, unsure how aggressive to be, but now I'm playing more deliberately. Running guns I like, sticking to cover, being more methodical, it feels good to find my rhythm. The more I learn the maps, the more confident I get. At first, everything felt massive and overwhelming, but now I've got routes that I like to take, high traffic areas to avoid if I'm carrying good loot, and shortcuts I can take when things get sketchy. Even knowing how to get onto a roof can be a lifesaver sometimes. That familiarity makes a huge difference, and I'm still just scratching the surface. I think that's a big part of what makes games like this so fun and rewarding. You're always picking up on small map nuances and getting better every run. And yeah, that's where I'm at with Arc Raiders right now. It's not perfect, but man, it's been a long time since a multiplayer game grabbed me like this and actually made me want to keep coming back. As I'm recording this, the servers for the tech test just shut down, and honestly, I already miss it. I keep feeling that itch to queue up just one more raid. I'm really excited to see how this game evolves and where it goes from here, and I'll definitely be sticking with it. And judging by the Discord right after the test ended, I don't think I'm alone. People clearly love this game. If you've been playing too, I'd love to hear how your experience has been. Feel free to drop a comment if you feel like it. And if you're new here and enjoyed the video, maybe consider subscribing and checking out my last video. I've got more stuff in the works and I'm just getting started with this channel. I've been living and breathing this video for days, so if you made it this far, thank you. It really means a lot. Thanks for watching and take care.